What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks into a morning talk show expecting a friendly chat and walks out in the middle of a live broadcast? In just 26 seconds of cutting remarks from the host, a pleasant interview turned into one of the most shocking exits in British television history. Liam Neeson arrived at the studio that morning like he had done countless times before. The actor was there to discuss his latest film, a project he had poured his heart into for months. He settled into the bright orange sofa, the trademark set piece of Lorraine Kelly's morning show, surrounded by the usual faces. Sitting alongside Lorraine were her regular panelists, Ross King, the entertainment correspondent who usually kept things light and breezy, and Christine Lampard, filling in as the lifestyle segment host. The show opened like any other. Lorraine flashed her signature smile at the camera, welcomed viewers, and introduced Liam with what seemed like genuine enthusiasm. But those who knew her show well might have noticed something different in her tone, a slight edge that hinted at what was coming. "So Liam, lovely to have you here," Lorraine began, her Scottish accent bright and cheerful. "You've got this new film coming out. Very serious stuff, I hear." Liam nodded politely, settling into his seat. "Yes, it's a project that means a lot to me. It's about a father dealing with loss and trying to reconnect with his son. Very emotional material. Very real." Lorraine replied, and there was something dismissive in that sound. "Must be quite the change from all those action films you've been doing. You know, the ones where you just run around with a gun." The smile on Liam's face faltered slightly. Ross King shifted uncomfortably in his seat, glancing between Lorraine and the actor. Christine looked down at her notes. "Well, I wouldn't characterize my work quite that way," Liam said carefully. "Every role has its complexities, its emotional depths. Whether it's an action film or a drama, I try to bring authenticity to the character." Lorraine waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, come on now. Let's be honest. How much acting is really involved when you're just pointing a gun and looking stern? My 5-year-old nephew could do that." The audience went quiet. You could feel the tension radiating from the stage. Ross King jumped in, trying to smooth things over. "Well, actually, Lorraine, I think what makes Liam's action roles so compelling is the gravitas he brings. There's a reason audiences connect with those films." Lorraine turned to Ross with a look that could freeze water. "Nobody asked you, Ross. I'm conducting this interview." Ross pulled back, his face flushing red. Christine kept her eyes fixed firmly on her papers, clearly wanting no part of what was unfolding. Liam's jaw tightened, but he maintained his composure. "Lorraine, I came here in good faith to talk about my work. If you have some sort of issue with me or my career choices, perhaps we should discuss that rather than making snide comments." "Issue?" Lorraine laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I don't have an issue, darling. I'm just trying to have an honest conversation. Something I'm sure your fans would appreciate instead of the usual promotional nonsense we get on these shows." "Honest conversation?" Liam repeated, his voice still controlled, but with an edge creeping in. "Is that what you call belittling someone's life work on live television?" Lorraine leaned forward, her expression hardening. "Life work? You've been making the same film for the past 10 years, Liam. Different title. Same angry man with a gun. Where's the artistry in that?" Christine finally spoke up, her voice gentle. "Perhaps we could talk about the new film. I've heard wonderful things about your performance, Liam." "Thank you, Christine," Liam said, offering her a grateful nod. "As I was saying, this film explores themes of grief and redemption. The character is struggling with..." But Lorraine wasn't done. She cut him off mid-sentence. "Grief and redemption. Right. And let me guess, there's probably a scene where you brood intensely while rain falls dramatically? Maybe a slow-motion walk away from an explosion?" The audience gasped. Some people in the studio audience actually stood up, clearly uncomfortable with what they were witnessing. Ross King tried once more. "Lorraine, maybe we should..." Ross, I swear to God, if you interrupt me one more time, Lorraine snapped, her pleasant television persona completely stripped away now. Liam sat very still, his famous composure being tested to its absolute limit. When he spoke again, his voice was quiet but firm. I've sat through some difficult interviews in my time, but this is beyond unprofessional. I'm not sure what's happened to make you so hostile, but I don't deserve this treatment. Oh, you don't deserve it. Lorraine's voice dripped with sarcasm. The millionaire actor doesn't think he deserves a few hard questions? How precious. Hard questions would be fine, Liam responded, his Irish accent becoming more pronounced as his emotions rose. What you're doing is just being cruel for the sake of it. There's a difference between journalism and bullying. Lorraine's eyes flashed. Bullying? Did you seriously just accuse me of bullying you? You're a grown man, for heaven's sake. If you can't handle a little criticism, maybe you should stick to reading scripts where everything's written down for you. The camera operators didn't know where to look. The producers in the control room were frantically trying to decide whether to cut to commercial. Christine had actually put her head in her hands. Ross King looked like he wanted to disappear into the sofa. A little criticism? Liam's voice rose slightly, the first sign that his patience was wearing dangerously thin. You've done nothing but mock me since I sat down. You've insulted my intelligence, my craft, and my choices. And for what? What have I done to you? You haven't done anything to me personally, Lorraine shot back. But you've done plenty to cinema. You've taken your considerable talent and wasted it on mindless garbage. And now you want to sit here and pretend that one serious film makes up for years of phoning it in? Liam stood up suddenly, and the microphone clipped to his shirt made a sharp crackling sound. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to sit here and be disrespected like this. Oh, so you're just going to run away? Lorraine called out, also rising from her seat. How very action hero of you. I'm not running, Liam said, his voice like steel now. I'm choosing not to participate in whatever this is. There's a difference. Ross King stood up too, reaching out toward Liam. Please, Liam, I'm sure we can sort this out. Maybe just take a breath and... Ross, with all due respect, there's nothing to sort out, Liam said, beginning to unclip his microphone. Your host has made it abundantly clear what she thinks of me. I'm not going to sit here and take abuse for her entertainment. Lorraine laughed again, that same cold laugh. Abuse? My goodness, you are sensitive, aren't you? I thought tough guys like you could handle a bit of back and forth. Back and forth implies a conversation, Liam replied, handing his microphone to a stunned crew member. What you've been doing is a monologue of contempt. Christine finally stood, her voice pleading. Liam, please, I'm so sorry about this. This isn't how we normally... I know it isn't, Christine, Liam said gently, his anger clearly not directed at her. You and Ross have been nothing but kind, but I won't be spoken to this way by anyone, television host or not. Lorraine crossed her arms, a smug expression on her face. So that's it then? You're actually leaving? In the middle of a live show? I am, Liam confirmed, straightening his jacket. And I'd suggest you take a long look at how you treat your guests. Because this... He gestured at the chaos of the set. This isn't journalism. This isn't even entertainment. It's just mean. Oh, please, Lorraine scoffed. Don't try to take the moral high ground with me. You're the one throwing a tantrum and walking off set. Liam paused at the edge of the stage, turning back to look at her. A tantrum would be responding to your hostility with matching hostility. What I'm doing is maintaining my dignity by removing myself from a toxic situation. There's a significant difference, though I doubt you can see it. The audience had gone completely silent. Some were filming on their phones. Others were simply staring in disbelief. This was not what anyone had expected from a morning chat show. Ross King made one last attempt at peace. Lorraine, Why don't we all just calm down and don't tell me to calm down? Lorraine whipped around to face Ross. I'm perfectly calm. I'm the only one here who's being real, who's asking the questions that matter. The questions that matter? Liam's voice carried across the studio, stopping him mid-exit. You haven't asked a single, meaningful question. You've just hurled insults and acted superior. If that's your idea of important journalism, then British television is in worse shape than I thought. Lorraine's face flushed red. How dare you criticize British television? You who comes here to promote your films, who makes millions from British audiences, and then acts like you're too good to answer honest questions. I came here to have a conversation about my work, Liam said, his voice rising now to match hers. A respectful, adult conversation. What I got instead was ambushed by someone who seems to think cruelty is the same as honesty. I'm not cruel, Lorraine practically shouted. I'm truthful. Someone needs to tell you that you've been coasting on your reputation for years. The entire studio seemed to hold its breath. Even the camera operators had stopped pretending to work, just watching the scene unfold. Liam walked back toward the stage, not to sit down, but to face Lorraine directly. You want truth? Here's some truth for you. I've been in this industry for decades. I've worked with some of the greatest directors, actors, and crew members in the world. I've seen professionalism at its highest level. And what you've displayed here today is the exact opposite of that. Oh, here we go. Lorraine rolled her eyes. The lecture from the great Liam Neeson. I'm not lecturing, Liam continued, his voice steady, despite the emotion behind it. I'm simply pointing out that you've confused rudeness with boldness, contempt with insight. You've taken what should have been a pleasant conversation and turned it into a spectacle of hostility. Christine stood between them, her hands raised in a peacekeeping gesture. Please, both of you. We're live. Can we just... But neither of them was listening to her anymore. Lorraine stepped closer, her finger pointing at Liam. You know what your problem is? You can't handle someone who doesn't worship at your feet. You're so used to everyone fawning over you that the moment someone asks a tough question, you fold. A tough question? Liam's eyebrows shot up. Is that what you think you've been asking? Tough questions probe for insight, for understanding. They challenge in a way that illuminates. What you've done is simply attack. I haven't attacked anyone, Lorraine insisted. I've been doing my job. Your job is to make your guests feel unwelcome and disrespected? Liam asked. Because if so, congratulations. You're Employee of the Month. The sarcasm in his voice seemed to push Lorraine over an edge. Get out then. If you're so offended, if you're so hurt by a few honest observations, then leave. We don't need you here. I was already leaving, Liam reminded her, his voice returning to that controlled calm. You're the one who kept this going. Ross King stepped between them now too, physically trying to create space. Okay, everyone, let's just take a step back. We're all professionals here. Are we? Liam asked, looking directly at Lorraine, because I'm not seeing much professionalism from the person who's supposed to be hosting this show. Lorraine's mouth opened and closed, words seeming to fail her for the first time. Her face was red, her hands were shaking, and her carefully constructed television persona was in absolute tatters. You're impossible, she finally managed. Absolutely impossible. I'm impossible, Liam repeated incredulously. I came here to discuss my film. You're the one who turned this into a confrontation. You made this personal. You made it nasty. And now you're angry that I'm not just sitting here and taking it? A producer appeared at the side of the stage, frantically signaling to cut to commercial, but nobody seemed to be paying attention to him. I made it personal? Lorraine's voice went up an octave. You're the one who accused me of bullying. Because that's what it was. Liam's composure finally cracked completely. From the moment I sat down, you've done nothing but belittle me, mock my work, and treat me with contempt. What would you call that? I'd call it holding you accountable, Lorraine shouted back. Accountable for what? Liam's voice boomed through the studio. For making films? For having a career? For existing in a way that you apparently find offensive? Christine was actually crying now, overwhelmed by the chaos. Ross had his head in his hands. The audience was split between those who looked horrified and those who seemed to be enjoying the drama. "You're twisting everything I've said," Lorraine accused, her voice shaking. "I'm not twisting anything," Liam said, his voice dropping back to a dangerous quiet. "I'm simply reflecting your own words back at you, and you don't like what you're hearing." There was a long moment of silence. The two of them stood there, facing each other across the bright, cheerful set that now felt like a battlefield. Finally, Liam shook his head slowly. "This is pointless. You're clearly not interested in having an actual conversation. You wanted a confrontation, and you got one. I hope it was worth it." He turned to leave again, and this time Lorraine's voice was almost desperate. "You can't just walk out." Liam stopped, but didn't turn around. "Watch me." "This is my show," Lorraine called after him. "Then you should probably think about how you want to run it," Liam replied over his shoulder. "Because if this is your standard approach, I suspect I won't be the last person to walk off." "You're being ridiculous." Lorraine's voice cracked. Liam finally turned back one last time. "No, Lorraine, I'm being human. I'm a person who deserves basic respect, just like anyone else who sits on that sofa. The fact that you can't see that, the fact that you think your behavior today was acceptable, says everything about you and nothing about me." Ross King found his voice again. "Liam, mate, please, let's just talk this through. Off camera. We can sort this out." Liam looked at Ross with genuine sympathy. "Ross, you seem like a good man, but there's nothing to sort out. Your host made her feelings abundantly clear. I'm simply responding by removing myself from a situation where I'm clearly not wanted or respected." "Of course you're wanted," Christine managed through her tears. "This just got out of hand." It got out of hand the moment Lorraine decided to use this interview as an opportunity to attack rather than converse. Liam said gently to Christine, "That's not on you. That's not on Ross. That's on her." Lorraine's hands were clenched into fists at her sides. "Stop acting like you're the victim here." "I'm not acting like anything," Liam said tiredly. "I'm simply a guest who came on your show expecting a normal interview and instead got ambushed with hostility. That's not acting. That's just stating facts." "Facts?" Lorraine laughed bitterly. "The fact is that you're a prima donna who can't handle a real conversation." "A real conversation involves two people speaking to each other with mutual respect," Liam countered. "What we had here was you speaking at me with barely concealed disdain. Those are very different things." "Disdain?" Lorraine threw her hands up. "Oh, for crying out loud. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You actors are all the same. The second someone doesn't kiss your feet, you act like you're being persecuted." Liam's eyes narrowed. "I don't want anyone to kiss my feet. I just want basic professional courtesy. The same courtesy I've shown you despite your behavior." "My behavior?" Lorraine's voice went shrill. "What about your behavior? Coming on my show with this attitude, acting superior." "I walked in here with no attitude whatsoever," Liam said, his voice dangerously quiet. "I sat down ready to have a nice chat. You're the one who came out swinging." Ross tried again to interject. "Look, I think everyone's emotions are running high. Maybe if we just... Ross, I appreciate what you're trying to do. But stop," Liam said, holding up a hand. "This isn't something that can be smoothed over with a few calming words. This is about respect, and your host has shown me none." Christine nodded in agreement, finding her voice again. "He's right, Lorraine. You've been incredibly harsh from the start. I don't understand what's gotten into you." Lorraine whirled on Christine. "Oh, so now you're taking his side." "There are no sides," Christine said firmly. "There's just right and wrong, and the way you've treated Liam is wrong." "Unbelievable!" Lorraine said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. My own colleagues turning on me for some actor who can't take the heat. The heat? Liam repeated. Is that what you call your unprovoked attacks? Heat? I've done interviews in war zones that were more pleasant than this. Oh, please, Lorraine scoffed. You're being dramatic. Dramatic? Liam's voice rose again. You've spent the entire interview mocking my career, insulting my intelligence, and dismissing everything I've said. And when I dare to push back, I'm being dramatic? You are being dramatic, Lorraine insisted. All I did was ask you some tough questions about your career choices. Tough questions? Liam's laugh was incredulous. Saying my 5-year-old nephew could do my job isn't a tough question. It's an insult. Saying I've wasted my talent isn't a tough question. It's a judgment. A cruel, unnecessary judgment. Lorraine crossed her arms defensively. I'm entitled to my opinion. You are, Liam agreed. But there's a time and a place for every opinion. And ambushing a guest on live television isn't the appropriate place for personal attacks disguised as journalism. They're not personal attacks, Lorraine shouted. Then what would you call them? Liam challenged. Because from where I'm sitting, you've made this very personal indeed. The audience was completely riveted now. This had gone so far beyond a normal interview that nobody quite knew what to do. Some people were recording everything on their phones. Others just sat with their mouths open. Ross stepped forward again. Liam, I've known Lorraine for years. This isn't like her. Something must be wrong. Maybe if we all just took a moment to breathe. Ross, your loyalty to your colleague is admirable, Liam said. But it doesn't change what's happened here. It doesn't change what she's said to me. I stand by every word I've said, Lorraine declared, lifting her chin defiantly. Then you're even more lost than I thought, Liam replied sadly. Because if you truly believe that the way you've behaved today is acceptable, then you've forgotten what it means to be a decent human being. Don't you dare lecture me about decency. Lorraine's face flushed an even deeper red. You don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You're right, I don't, Liam acknowledged. But I know how you've treated me today. And that tells me everything I need to know about how you operate. How I operate. Lorraine's voice was shaking now. I operate with honesty. I operate with integrity. I ask the questions other people are afraid to ask. There's a difference between being brave enough to ask hard questions and being cruel enough to hurt people for entertainment, Liam said. You've crossed that line today, multiple times. Christine stood up again, her voice stronger now. Liam's right, Lorraine. I've watched you do hundreds of interviews. I've never seen you like this. What's really going on? Nothing is going on, Lorraine snapped at Christine. I'm just tired of these celebrities coming on here, expecting to be treated like royalty when they've contributed nothing meaningful to society. Nothing meaningful? Liam's eyebrows shot up. So now you're not just attacking my work. You're attacking my entire contribution to society? If the shoe fits, Lorraine muttered. Liam stared at her for a long moment. You really believe that, don't you? You genuinely think that actors, artists, people who dedicate their lives to telling stories and creating art contribute nothing meaningful? I think you're overpaid and overvalued, Lorraine said bluntly. That's your prerogative, Liam replied, but it doesn't give you the right to treat me like garbage on your show. I haven't treated you like garbage, Lorraine protested. Then what would you call it? Liam asked again. Because every single person in this studio, including your own colleagues, can see exactly what you've been doing. The producer was now on the stage, physically trying to end the confrontation, but both Liam and Lorraine ignored him completely. I don't have disdain for you, Lorraine said, but her voice lacked conviction. Could have fooled me, Liam replied. Every word out of your mouth has been designed to diminish and demean. If that's not disdain, I don't know what is. You're being oversensitive, Lorraine said, trying to regain some control. This is how interviews work. I push, you push back. It's called television. No, Liam said firmly. Television is when both parties engage in good faith. What you're doing is something else entirely. You're using your position of power to bully a guest who came here in good faith. I'm not bullying anyone, Lorraine's voice cracked. Then explain to me what you are doing, Liam challenged. Because from where I'm standing, you've done nothing but attack me from the moment I sat down. You've mocked my work, questioned my intelligence, dismissed my craft, and treated me with open contempt. What do you call that? Lorraine's mouth opened and closed several times. The studio was so quiet, you could hear the cameras humming. Ross cleared his throat. I think what Lorraine is trying to say is... I can speak for myself, Ross, Lorraine snapped, then immediately looked like she regretted the outburst. Clearly, Liam observed dryly. You've been speaking quite freely all morning. The question is whether you've been speaking wisely. Don't patronize me, Lorraine warned. I'm not patronizing you, Liam said. I'm simply pointing out that words have consequences. You can't spend 15 minutes tearing someone down and then act surprised when they object to it. Christine spoke up again, her voice gentle but firm. Lorraine, honestly, you need to hear this. You've gone too far today. Way too far. Oh, not you too, Lorraine said, looking betrayed. Yes, me too, Christine said, because I care about you, and I care about this show, and what you're doing right now is damaging both. I'm trying to do real journalism, Lorraine insisted. Real journalism doesn't require you to be cruel, Liam interjected. Some of the best interviewers in the world ask incredibly tough questions while still maintaining respect for their subjects. You could learn something from them. I don't need lessons from you, Lorraine shot back. Clearly you need lessons from someone, Liam said, because whatever you think you're doing here, it's not working. Lorraine seemed to deflate slightly, some of the fight going out of her. I was just trying to ask challenging questions. No, you weren't, Liam said firmly, but not unkindly. You were trying to provoke, and you succeeded. Congratulations. I'm provoked. I'm also leaving. He unclipped the backup microphone that someone had apparently attached to him during the confrontation. The crew member who took it looked absolutely terrified. This is going to be all over the news, Ross said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. Probably, Liam agreed, but that's not why I'm leaving. I'm leaving because life's too short to spend it being insulted on television. Lorraine seemed to realize, finally, that she had pushed too far. Liam, wait. Maybe we did get off on the wrong foot. The wrong foot? Liam repeated. Lorraine, we weren't even on the same path. You decided before I even sat down what kind of interview this was going to be. I was just too slow to realize it. That's not fair, Lorraine protested weakly. Fair? Liam's laugh was hollow. You want to talk about fair? After everything you've said to me in the last 15 minutes? Christine wiped her eyes. Can we please just stop this? Everyone's upset. Let's take a break. Calm down and try again. Liam looked at her kindly. Christine, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but some things can't be fixed with a break and a fresh start. What happened here today, what your colleague said to me, those words can't be unsaid. I'm sorry you're so sensitive, Lorraine muttered. And that was it. The final straw. Liam's face went completely still. I'm not sensitive, Lorraine. I'm a human being with feelings and dignity, and I refuse to let you or anyone else make me feel bad for expecting to be treated with basic decency. He walked toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the silent studio. Every eye was on him. The cameras were still rolling, capturing every moment of the most dramatic exit in the show's history. At the edge of the stage, he paused and turned back one final time. You know what the saddest part of all this is? I actually used to enjoy this show. I thought you were warm and welcoming. I recommended it to friends. I guess I was wrong about that." Lorraine opened her mouth to respond, but no words came out. "Goodbye, Lorraine," Liam said quietly. "I hope you figure out what made you so angry today, because it clearly wasn't really about me." And with that, he walked off the set, through the studio doors, and out into the corridor beyond. Behind him, he left chaos. Lorraine stood frozen in the middle of the set. Christine was crying openly now. Ross looked like he'd aged 10 years. The audience sat in stunned silence, having witnessed one of the most extraordinary moments in morning television history.